Jimmy Carter, a proud and dignified veteran, enters a local store on a routine shopping trip. He's a man of routine, and the simple act of using his veteran's discount has become a small comfort in his life. After years of serving his country, he now seeks to live quietly with his wife, Lucille, whose health has been steadily declining. When he reaches the checkout counter, he attempts to use his veteran discount, something that's meant to honor his service. But to his surprise, the cashier informs him that he can't apply the discount. Confused, Jimmy tries to explain that he's a veteran and has always used this discount without issue. However, the cashier, Dale Johnson, is dismissive and nonchalant in his response. He tells Jimmy that new store policies prevent such discounts from being applied unless further verification is provided, even though this was never an issue before. The humiliation cuts deep. Jimmy feels not only the sting of this denial but the deeper wound of being disregarded, a sentiment many veterans experience as they return home to a society that has largely moved on from their service. His pride is hurt, but he tries to maintain composure, not wanting to make a scene. The disrespect, however, lingers, and Jimmy's mind races with questions about whether the discount was truly revoked due to policy changes or whether it was simply another way for society to overlook and dismiss him. Dale Johnson, the store manager, enters the scene as Jimmy tries to make sense of the situation. Dale is indifferent to Jimmy's plight, treating the incident as a minor inconvenience rather than a matter of respect or fairness. Jimmy's frustration rises as Dale reiterates that the policy change is out of his hands, and that it's company-wide. It feels less like a genuine explanation and more like an excuse to deflect responsibility. The more Jimmy tries to explain his entitlement to the discount, the more Dale seems uninterested. It's as though Jimmy's veteran status doesn't hold any weight in this setting. This treatment makes Jimmy feel invisible. He starts to question whether his years of service, years spent in harsh conditions and enduring sacrifice, really mean anything to the world outside the military. The situation escalates emotionally, as Jimmy is reminded of the constant struggles veterans face in trying to reintegrate into civilian life, often feeling undervalued and forgotten. The manager's refusal is a harsh reminder of how quickly people forget the sacrifices made by those who served their country. The brief interaction, lasting only a few minutes, leaves Jimmy with a lingering sense of disrespect that he cannot easily shake off. He leaves the store not just empty-handed, but with a feeling of injustice that will stay with him long after the incident. Maddie, a cashier at the store, is a stark contrast to Dale in terms of her warmth and empathy. As she rings up Jimmy's items, she greets him with a smile and a friendly word, which brings some comfort to Jimmy in the midst of his frustration. Over the course of their brief conversation, it becomes clear that Maddie genuinely respects Jimmy and his service, making him feel seen, even if the management does not. However, Maddie's tone changes when she talks about the new management and their policies. She confides in Jimmy that the changes have made the work environment tense. Several staff members, including some who had been there for years, have quit because of the increasing demands placed on them. Maddie explains how the new management has implemented policies that favor profits over employee well-being, forcing employees to work double shifts and giving them less flexibility. Maddie's candor reveals that the store, once a place of camaraderie, is now becoming a toxic environment. She tells Jimmy that, despite the negative changes, she's been trying to hold on, though it's becoming more difficult with each passing day. She hints that she hopes things might change, but with a sense of resignation. Jimmy, while sympathetic, feels a sense of guilt for not being able to help her or the other employees. The exchange, though brief, adds another layer of complexity to Jimmy's day, as he sees how larger systemic issues affect not only him but those around him as well. Maddie's support offers him some comfort, but it's clear that the challenges they both face are not easily overcome. Maddie's revelations about the store's management come at a crucial time. Jimmy had been unaware of the extent of the changes happening behind the scenes. As Maddie speaks candidly about the situation, Jimmy begins to realize just how much the store and its employees are being impacted by the new management's policies. The shift from a customer-friendly environment to one that prioritizes profits over people has created a rift within the staff, with many quitting in protest. Maddie herself is clearly struggling to keep up with the demands placed on her. She's been working double shifts, covering both weekdays and weekends, to ensure the store continues to function, but it's taking a toll on her. The impact of these changes on the store's morale is palpable, and Jimmy begins to feel a deeper sense of empathy for the workers who are caught in this transition. Maddie expresses a glimmer of hope, saying that there have been rumors of possible reforms in the works. The new management has been under pressure due to bad press, and there's talk of retraining the staff and implementing policies that prioritize respect for employees and customers alike. While Maddie's words offer some hope, there's an undercurrent of skepticism in her tone. She's been through enough changes already to know that promises don't always lead to real action. Still, the thought that the management might eventually turn things around gives Jimmy a small sense of optimism. He leaves the store with mixed emotions, frustration over the treatment he received, but also a faint sense of hope for the future, for both himself and for the store employees. As Jimmy exits the store, he carries more than just his groceries. He carries a sense of quiet triumph, a feeling of resilience in the face of adversity. Though the encounter with Dale was humiliating, Jimmy refuses to let it define him. He's faced far worse challenges in his life, both during his military service and in his personal struggles with Lucille's health, and he knows how to weather storms. The mistreatment in the store doesn't break him. Instead, it fuels his determination to rise above it. As he walks out, he feels a sense of empowerment, knowing that he has the strength to overcome such moments. The interaction with Maddie, though brief, serves as a reminder that not everyone shares the same cold, dismissive attitude as Dale. In Maddie's warmth, Jimmy finds a flicker of humanity, and that small gesture helps him maintain his dignity. Despite the pain of the situation, Jimmy feels like he's taken control of the narrative. He walks past the press, who are now gathered around the store's management, and chooses not to engage with them. Instead, he gives Dale a quiet nod, acknowledging the situation but choosing not to let it escalate further. It's a silent victory, one that Jimmy can hold on to as he moves forward. The incident may have been humiliating, but it won't define him. His dignity remains intact. The bus ride home gives Jimmy a chance to reflect on the events of the day. The mistreatment he endured at the store still lingers in his mind, but he tries to push it aside. Instead, his thoughts turn to the unopened letter from Morgan Freeman that he's been carrying with him. The letter is a reminder of the unexpected kindness he's received from Freeman, who has long been an advocate for veterans' rights. Freeman's gesture, a letter and a financial gift, has already had a profound impact on Jimmy, even before he's read it. As the bus bumps along the familiar route, Jimmy wonders what the letter contains. Is it simply a thank you note, or is there something more? The weight of the letter in his hands feels symbolic, a tangible reminder that he is seen, valued, and respected, something he rarely feels in the world around him. The letter represents a lifeline, a connection to someone who understands his struggles and the sacrifices he's made. As the bus nears his stop, Jimmy takes a deep breath, trying to steady his emotions. He knows that, regardless of the day's challenges, he has something to look forward to when he gets home. The letter from Freeman holds the promise of hope and recognition, something that Jimmy desperately needs after the humiliation he's just experienced. When Jimmy arrives home, he immediately goes to Lucille, eager to share the day's events with her. Lucille, though confined to her bed due to her illness, is always a source of strength for Jimmy. As he tells her about the store's issues, his voice is filled with frustration and sadness. He recounts the interaction with Dale and the way the new management has made life difficult for both employees and customers. Lucille listens attentively, her expression one of concern, though she knows that Jimmy has been through much worse in the past. The conversation quickly shifts to their immediate needs. Lucille's medical expenses have been steadily rising, and they're finding it increasingly difficult to keep up with the costs. Jimmy talks about the strain of balancing Lucille's care with their financial situation, feeling helpless at times. But as he speaks, Lucille reassures him, reminding him that they've always made it through difficult times before. Despite the financial challenges, their love and commitment to each other remain strong. They share a quiet moment of understanding, each recognizing the weight of the other's struggles. For Jimmy, Lucille's unwavering support is a constant source of strength. The conversation brings a sense of clarity. While the outside world may be unkind and unfair, their bond is unbreakable. Together, they will continue to face whatever comes their way. After dinner, as the evening settles in, Jimmy finally opens the letter from Morgan Freeman. He's been waiting for the right moment, and now, with Lucille by his side, he carefully unfolds the paper. Inside the envelope is a check for $80,000, along with a handwritten note from Freeman. The message expresses deep gratitude for Jimmy's service and sacrifices, acknowledging the challenges that veterans like him face when returning to civilian life. Freeman writes that the money is meant to help Jimmy with any financial needs, particularly Lucille's medical care. The check itself is overwhelming, more than Jimmy could have ever expected. He stares at the figure for a moment, trying to process the magnitude of the gift. It's not just the money, but the recognition that Freeman's gesture represents. For the first time in a long while, Jimmy feels valued and seen. Lucille, too, is overwhelmed with emotion. Tears well up in her eyes as she hugs Jimmy, knowing how much this will ease their burden. The letter serves as both a financial lifeline and an emotional reminder that, despite the hardships they've faced, there are still people in the world who care and who are willing to show it. This unexpected gift brings a sense of peace to the couple, offering them a renewed sense of hope for the future. The letter from Morgan Freeman is more than just a financial gesture. It's a deeply personal recognition of Jimmy's service and sacrifices. For years, Jimmy has struggled with feeling invisible, overlooked by society despite the countless lives he put on the line during his military service. The letter serves as a powerful reminder that his contributions matter, that his experiences and sacrifices have not been forgotten. Freeman's words express deep gratitude for Jimmy's dedication to his country, acknowledging the emotional and physical toll that years of service have taken on him. The letter is not just a check, but a heartfelt message of thanks, a symbol of the respect and honor that Jimmy and other veterans deserve. It's a rare moment of validation, something Jimmy has long yearned for. In this small, yet significant, act, Freeman reaffirms Jimmy's worth. This recognition goes beyond the money. It touches the core of Jimmy's identity, reaffirming his sense of dignity and pride. The letter is a powerful message to all veterans, reminding them that their service is appreciated, even when the world around them seems to forget. It offers a small but meaningful glimpse into a world where veterans are honored, not just for their actions in war, but for their resilience and humanity. In the wake of receiving the letter from Morgan Freeman, Jimmy and Lucille share a quiet moment of celebration. The financial relief that the $80,000 check brings allows them to breathe easier for the first time in months. The burden of medical expenses has weighed heavily on them both, and this unexpected gift provides a sense of security they hadn't dared to hope for. As they sit together, Jimmy reflects on the journey that has led them here. The struggles they've faced, both as a couple and as individuals, have been many, but this gift feels like a turning point. Lucille, who has always been his pillar of strength, is overjoyed by the prospect of better care and the chance to ease her pain. Jimmy, too, feels a renewed sense of purpose and hope. This gift, though material, carries with it a deep emotional significance. It's not just the financial help that matters, but the gesture of kindness and the reminder that there are still people who care. Together, they sit in the quiet comfort of their home, knowing that, despite the challenges ahead, they have each other, and now, a renewed sense of hope for their future. Jimmy Carter's life story is one deeply rooted in the themes of sacrifice, resilience, and the heavy emotional toll of war. As a war veteran, Jimmy carries the weight of his service not just in the form of physical scars but in the psychological aftermath of his experiences. The emotional toll that comes with being in combat, witnessing the loss of comrades, facing the brutality of war, and living with the constant stress of survival, can leave a permanent mark on a person's psyche. But for Jimmy, this trauma isn't something that ends when he returns home. The struggles he faces upon returning to civilian life reflect a larger societal issue: how the country fails to properly care for its veterans once they are no longer serving in combat. This reality is starkly evident when Jimmy, after enduring years of service, tries to navigate everyday life in a world that often doesn't acknowledge his sacrifice. The first major conflict introduced in the script is the discrimination he faces when trying to claim his veteran discount at a local store. This seemingly small moment encapsulates the broader issue of how veterans are treated by society after their service ends. For Jimmy, it's not just about the discount. It's about the principle of being acknowledged for his service, something he feels he's been denied for far too long. He enters the store with the expectation that he'll be treated with the respect that veterans deserve. After all, he served his country, putting his life on the line, and yet here he is, being denied something as simple as a discount. The manager's refusal feels like a rejection of Jimmy himself, a reflection of how society fails to see the real cost of war, its long-term emotional, psychological, and physical toll on those who serve. This scene also highlights the isolation that many veterans feel after they return home. Jimmy's struggle is compounded by the fact that he feels increasingly alienated from a society that seems to have moved on from the wars he fought. There's no recognition, no gratitude, and often no understanding of the complex challenges veterans face. His encounter with the store manager becomes a symbolic representation of this societal indifference. The manager, in his dismissal of Jimmy's request, epitomizes the larger systemic issues at play, where the sacrifice of veterans is taken for granted, and their contributions are reduced to mere transactions rather than being acknowledged as part of a larger national debt. For Jimmy, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's a deep emotional wound, one that reinforces the feeling of being invisible in the very society he fought to protect. The store incident becomes a catalyst for deeper reflection. It forces Jimmy to confront the feelings of anger, frustration, and disillusionment that have been building inside him for years. His internal dialogue in the scene reveals the bitterness he feels not just about the incident, but about the larger issue of veterans being overlooked. The fact that he has fought for his country, that he has sacrificed so much, only to return home and be treated as though he doesn't matter, is a profound source of pain. But more than that, it forces him to reckon with the emotional void he feels. The sense of abandonment he experiences isn't just a result of the store manager's actions, it's part of a much larger pattern in his life. This moment also touches on the idea of identity. For Jimmy, being a veteran is central to who he is. It's not just a label or a category, it's a core part of his identity. But the world around him doesn't recognize or validate that identity. He is treated as a second-class citizen, despite having given everything for the country he loves. The discrimination he faces becomes a manifestation of his internal conflict. He feels invisible, discarded, and unimportant, as though his identity as a veteran is nothing more than a label that doesn't carry any real weight in the eyes of the people around him. As the scene progresses, Jimmy's emotions become more complex. The initial frustration begins to shift into a deeper sense of sadness and even hopelessness. This is where the script begins to show the emotional toll of being a veteran, how the constant neglect and lack of recognition chip away at a person's sense of self-worth. It's not just about the tangible aspects of his life, the lack of discounts, the financial struggles, the caregiving for his wife, but the psychological burden that comes with constantly being overlooked and undervalued. The script delves into the psychological trauma veterans often carry long after their service ends, exploring how their experiences in combat leave them with emotional scars that society often refuses to acknowledge. At the same time, Jimmy's character is shown to be deeply resilient. Despite the pain and frustration, he refuses to back down. His service and his identity as a veteran means something to him, and even though the world may not recognize it, he still holds onto that sense of pride. This is where the script begins to hint at Jimmy's deeper emotional strength. He may feel abandoned and rejected, but he's not willing to let go of who he is. This is a man who has faced down death in combat and survived, and while the everyday struggles of civilian life may feel like a different kind of battle, Jimmy is no stranger to hardship. In the next stages of the script, this emotional conflict will continue to unfold. Jimmy's reaction to the store incident will serve as a turning point in his journey, a catalyst for him to confront not only his feelings of being undervalued, but also the larger societal issues surrounding the treatment of veterans. It's not just about Jimmy's personal grievances, it's about the larger narrative of how veterans are treated in post-service life. The script sets the stage for a deeper exploration of the societal responsibility to care for those who have served, and how individual acts of kindness can serve as a beacon of hope for those who feel lost and invisible. One of the most powerful aspects of Jimmy's character is his unwavering dedication to his wife, Lucille, who is battling multiple sclerosis, MS. This relationship is a central theme in the story, highlighting the emotional, physical, and psychological toll that caregiving takes on a person, especially when that caregiver is already carrying the weight of their own trauma and struggles. Jimmy's role as a caregiver is a constant source of conflict and emotional strain, but it is also where his strength, resilience, and deep love for Lucille are most apparent. Lucille's condition is progressive, and as the disease takes hold, Jimmy's life becomes a delicate balance of providing physical care, managing her emotional needs, and dealing with the isolation that comes with being a full-time caregiver. Multiple sclerosis, a disease that affects the central nervous system, causes Lucille to experience periods of weakness, fatigue, and mobility issues, which in turn require Jimmy to take on more responsibilities in their daily life. This includes everything from helping Lucille get out of bed, to assisting with her personal hygiene, to making sure she takes her medication. As the disease progresses, Jimmy becomes her primary source of support, a role that demands an immense amount of patience, compassion, and selflessness. The emotional weight of being a caregiver is a heavy burden for Jimmy, one that he shoulders without complaint, even though it sometimes feels like he is carrying the weight of the world. The emotional strain of watching his wife deteriorate before his eyes, knowing that there is no cure for her condition, takes a toll on Jimmy's mental health. His feelings of helplessness and sadness are often compounded by the exhaustion that comes with caregiving. As the disease limits Lucille's mobility, it also limits her ability to engage in many of the activities they once enjoyed together. This change is a constant reminder for Jimmy of how their life together has shifted, and it stirs feelings of grief for the life they once had. Yet, despite these challenges, Jimmy remains fiercely committed to Lucille. His love for her is unwavering, and he views caring for her as a sacred responsibility, one that he takes on without hesitation. This dedication to Lucille is part of what defines Jimmy's character. He is a man who, despite facing his own struggles, is determined to ensure that Lucille receives the care, attention, and love she deserves. This is especially poignant because, as a war veteran, Jimmy is used to taking on difficult and dangerous roles. But the role of caregiver is different. It's an emotional and intimate form of service, one that requires a deep sense of empathy and sacrifice. As Jimmy's caregiving role grows, so does his sense of isolation. Caregiving can often feel like a lonely journey, and Jimmy's life is no exception. He finds himself becoming more and more disconnected from the world around him. He is so focused on caring for Lucille that he often neglects his own needs, his physical health, his mental well-being, and his emotional needs. This sense of isolation is exacerbated by the discrimination he faces in other areas of his life, such as the incident at the store, where his status as a veteran is ignored. His life is consumed by the care of Lucille, and in many ways, he becomes a shadow of the man he once was. The emotional toll of caregiving, combined with the trauma of his past, creates a feeling of being stuck, unable to move forward, unable to take time for himself, and unable to seek help because he feels that he must do it all alone. There is also a sense of guilt that often accompanies caregiving. Jimmy feels guilty when he gets frustrated with Lucille or when he has moments where he longs for respite. This is a common experience for many caregivers, who feel torn between their desire to be there for their loved one and the emotional exhaustion that caregiving brings. For Jimmy, the guilt is compounded by his feelings of being overwhelmed. There are days when he wishes he could escape the constant responsibility of caregiving, but he never acts on these feelings because of his love for Lucille. He views it as his duty to care for her, no matter the cost to himself. The caregiving dynamic between Jimmy and Lucille is further complicated by the financial strain they face. Lucille's condition requires expensive medications and treatments, and as Jimmy's role as a caregiver intensifies, his ability to work becomes more limited. He is forced to balance the financial strain of their situation with the emotional and physical toll that caregiving takes on him. This financial strain is something that plays a major role in the script, especially as Jimmy navigates the challenges of trying to make ends meet while providing Lucille with the care she needs. The constant pressure of paying for medical bills, managing household expenses, and trying to find time to care for himself creates an overwhelming sense of anxiety. Despite the struggles, Jimmy's relationship with Lucille is one of deep emotional connection. They have been together for many years, and their bond is rooted in shared history, love, and mutual support. Lucille, even as she becomes more dependent on Jimmy, is a source of emotional strength for him. Her unwavering love and gratitude for his care provide him with moments of respite, even though he may not fully realize it. She understands the toll that caregiving takes on him and, in her own way, tries to offer him comfort and reassurance. These moments of connection are important because they remind Jimmy that, despite the challenges they face, they are in this together. At the heart of this caregiving story is the theme of sacrifice. Jimmy's role as Lucille's caregiver is a profound act of love, one that requires him to give up many of his own needs and desires. It is a testament to the depth of his character that, even as he faces the challenges of being a war veteran and a caregiver, he continues to give his all to Lucille. His devotion to her is not without its costs, but it is a reflection of the man he is, a man who is willing to sacrifice everything for the person he loves. The script uses Jimmy's caregiving journey to explore the complex emotional terrain of caregiving, from the overwhelming responsibility to the deep emotional rewards that come with caring for a loved one. In the next stages of the script, Jimmy's caregiving journey will intersect with his other challenges, particularly the struggles he faces with discrimination and the societal issues surrounding the treatment of veterans. But at the core of his story is his love for Lucille and the sacrifices he makes to ensure she receives the care she needs. This dynamic is not only a testament to his character, but also a poignant exploration of the emotional and physical toll that caregiving can take on a person. A key moment in the script revolves around Jimmy's confrontation with Dale Johnson, the store manager who initially denies him the veteran discount. This encounter serves as a catalyst for exploring the broader themes of discrimination, respect, and the dignity of veterans. It highlights the often overlooked struggles that veterans face when trying to reintegrate into civilian life, and the ways in which society, at times, fails to recognize their sacrifices. Jimmy's experience with Dale Johnson is not just a personal affront, but a reflection of the systemic issues that veterans face daily, issues that include marginalization, mistreatment, and the dismissal of their rights and needs. At the heart of the confrontation is Jimmy's attempt to purchase groceries using his veteran discount, a benefit that he has earned through years of service and sacrifice. However, when he presents his veteran ID to Dale Johnson, the manager refuses to honor the discount. Dale claims that Jimmy's ID is outdated, a flimsy excuse that Jimmy knows is nothing more than an attempt to belittle him and deny him his due recognition. This denial of a small yet significant benefit, a gesture of gratitude from society, carries a much deeper emotional weight for Jimmy. It's not just about the money, it's about the recognition of his service, the acknowledgement of the sacrifices he made for his country, and the respect he feels he is owed. For Jimmy, this refusal symbolizes a larger societal trend in which veterans are often overlooked, forgotten, or treated with indifference. The emotional impact of this interaction is profound for Jimmy. Throughout his life, he has been accustomed to challenges, having faced the trauma of war, the struggles of caring for Lucille, and the daily fight to maintain his dignity in a world that often seems to ignore his needs. However, the denial of the veteran discount is the final straw. It is a reminder of how invisible he has become in the eyes of society. Jimmy has always prided himself on his service, on the sacrifices he made during the war, and on his role as a protector and provider. To be denied a basic benefit, one that should be given freely and without question, feels like a betrayal, a sign that his sacrifices have been forgotten. This moment brings to the surface Jimmy's frustration, his sense of injustice, and his deep-seated feelings of being unappreciated. What makes this confrontation even more significant is the way it highlights the systemic nature of the problem. Dale Johnson is not a malicious person, but his refusal to honor Jimmy's discount is emblematic of the way veterans are often treated by institutions and society at large. The manager's dismissive attitude reflects the larger issue of how veterans are often expected to move on after their service, to reintegrate into society without any special recognition or accommodations. This societal neglect creates a sense of alienation for veterans like Jimmy, who feel that their contributions are forgotten or devalued once they return to civilian life. The refusal to honor the discount is a small, yet telling example of this larger problem. Jimmy's reaction to this injustice is not one of anger, but of quiet resolve. He doesn't lash out at Dale or cause a scene in the store. Instead, he quietly asserts his right to the discount, knowing that the confrontation is not just about him, but about all veterans who face similar treatment. He understands that his fight is part of a larger battle for dignity and respect, one that many veterans have been fighting for years. This quiet, dignified resistance is a reflection of Jimmy's character. He is not one to seek attention or recognition, but he will not allow himself to be disrespected or diminished. The emotional toll of this confrontation is compounded by the larger context of Jimmy's life. As a caregiver to Lucille, Jimmy is already under immense pressure. His life is consumed by his responsibilities, and the stress of caring for his wife has left him feeling drained and isolated. The refusal of the veteran discount adds to this sense of alienation, making Jimmy feel as though he is invisible in the world. It is a moment of realization for him. He is not just struggling with the challenges of caregiving, but with the larger societal forces that work against him. This moment of injustice becomes a turning point for Jimmy, a catalyst that forces him to confront the ways in which society treats veterans and the ways in which he has been overlooked and mistreated. The confrontation also brings to light the generational disconnect that exists between Jimmy and younger generations. Dale Johnson, the store manager, is likely younger than Jimmy and has no direct experience with the hardships that veterans face. This generational gap can sometimes lead to misunderstandings or lack of empathy, as younger generations may not fully appreciate the sacrifices made by veterans. This disconnect is an important aspect of the script, as it highlights the growing divide between the experiences of older generations, those who have served in wars, and younger generations who may not fully understand or appreciate the struggles that veterans face. After the confrontation, Jimmy is left feeling emotionally drained. He has been denied a small benefit, but the impact of the denial is far greater than the financial loss. It serves as a reminder of how he has been overlooked and mistreated, not just by individuals like Dale Johnson, but by society as a whole. However, this moment also serves as a turning point for Jimmy. It is the moment when he begins to realize that he cannot remain silent in the face of discrimination. This confrontation, while painful, awakens something within him, a sense of agency and determination. Jimmy knows that he cannot change the way the world treats him, but he can stand up for himself and demand the respect he deserves. This realization sets the stage for the next phase of the story, where Jimmy will begin to take more active steps to reclaim his dignity and assert his rights as a veteran. Ultimately, this confrontation with Dale Johnson is not just about a veteran discount. It is a powerful exploration of the ways in which veterans are marginalized, disrespected, and often forgotten by society. It serves as a poignant reminder of the need for greater recognition, respect, and support for those who have served in the military. For Jimmy, the moment becomes a catalyst for change, propelling him toward a deeper understanding of his worth and the dignity he deserves. It is a pivotal moment in the script that underscores the broader themes of the story: the fight for dignity, the struggle against discrimination, and the unyielding strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. This confrontation also sets the stage for the pivotal intervention by Morgan Freeman, who becomes a source of support and advocacy for Jimmy. Morgan's assistance, both in the form of groceries and the advocacy for veterans' rights, provides a moment of hope for Jimmy, signaling a turning point in his life and a shift toward the recognition and respect he has long been denied. This moment of support underscores the importance of solidarity and camaraderie, showing that, even in a world that often overlooks veterans, there are still people who care and who are willing to stand up for what is right. The unexpected intervention of Morgan Freeman in the script serves as a transformative moment for Jimmy Carter, offering not only practical assistance but also emotional support. This encounter shifts the narrative from a struggle against discrimination to a story of redemption, camaraderie, and the possibility of change. Morgan Freeman's character, a seasoned advocate for veterans' rights, enters the story as a symbol of hope and a catalyst for Jimmy's personal growth. His unexpected kindness offers Jimmy a glimpse of the dignity and respect he has long been denied, both as a veteran and as a human being deserving of empathy and care. Morgan Freeman's introduction to the script comes after Jimmy's tense confrontation with Dale Johnson, the store manager who denied him the veteran discount. Feeling disrespected and emotionally drained, Jimmy is left reeling from the rejection. It is in this moment of vulnerability that Morgan Freeman's character enters the scene. Initially, the audience may not know who Morgan Freeman's character is, but it quickly becomes clear that he is someone who not only understands the struggles of veterans but is also deeply invested in advocating for their rights. His entrance serves as a breath of fresh air for Jimmy, offering a reprieve from the harshness of the world around him. Freeman's character, who is depicted as a man of quiet dignity and wisdom, approaches Jimmy in a grocery store parking lot after the confrontation. He sees the frustration and exhaustion on Jimmy's face and offers him a gesture of kindness, a simple but profound act that contrasts sharply with the disrespect Jimmy has just faced. Freeman's character buys Jimmy groceries and offers him a ride home, taking the time to engage in conversation and listen to Jimmy's struggles. This small but significant gesture is not just about providing material help, it's about acknowledging Jimmy's humanity, his service, and his worth. For someone like Jimmy, who has spent so much of his life in isolation and service to others, this act of kindness is transformative. In the dialogue between Jimmy and Morgan Freeman's character, the audience is given insight into the emotional and psychological toll that Jimmy's life has taken. Jimmy speaks about the challenges of caring for his wife, Lucille, who has multiple sclerosis, and the emotional burden of being constantly overlooked and misunderstood. Freeman's character listens with patience and empathy, validating Jimmy's experiences without judgment. This interaction contrasts sharply with the dismissive attitudes Jimmy has faced from others, including his earlier confrontation with Dale Johnson. Where others have dismissed Jimmy's struggles, Freeman's character sees them and acknowledges their weight. This moment of empathy and understanding is crucial for Jimmy's emotional journey, as it marks the beginning of his healing process and his realization that he is not alone. The emotional significance of Freeman's intervention is compounded by his position as a respected figure. As someone who has had a long career in the public eye, Freeman's character is able to use his influence to advocate for veterans' rights and to help bring attention to the issues that Jimmy and other veterans face. His character's actions demonstrate that even those who have achieved success and recognition in their own lives can use their position to uplift others and make a difference. For Jimmy, Freeman's intervention is a reminder that there are still people in the world who care, who are willing to stand up for what is right, and who are dedicated to ensuring that veterans receive the respect and recognition they deserve. Freeman's character also plays a key role in addressing the systemic issues that have been at the heart of Jimmy's struggles. By offering to help Jimmy with groceries and providing him with a ride home, Freeman not only alleviates some of Jimmy's immediate burdens but also demonstrates the importance of community and solidarity. His intervention is not just about helping one individual, but about sending a message that veterans deserve support, respect, and dignity. This act of kindness stands in stark contrast to the systemic neglect that Jimmy has faced, offering a ray of hope that things can change, that veterans can be seen and heard, and that their sacrifices can be honored. The positive turn in Jimmy's life continues when Freeman's character advocates for veterans' rights, using his influence to push for changes at the store. His efforts lead to the store offering Jimmy the veteran discount without hesitation, and his actions begin to have a ripple effect on the way veterans are treated in the community. This advocacy represents a larger shift in the narrative, one that emphasizes the power of collective action and the importance of standing up for those who are marginalized. Freeman's character becomes a mentor and a guide for Jimmy, helping him to see that he is not powerless, that he can stand up for himself and others, and that he can make a difference in his own life and in the lives of fellow veterans. The intervention by Morgan Freeman's character also serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of empathy and human connection. In a world that often seems cold and indifferent, the kindness and understanding shown by Freeman's character offers a stark contrast to the isolation that Jimmy has felt. For Jimmy, this act of kindness is not just a moment of relief, it is a turning point, a moment when he realizes that he is worthy of love, respect, and support. It is a moment when he begins to see himself not just as a caregiver or a veteran, but as a person deserving of dignity and care. This change in Jimmy's life is not just about the practical help that Freeman provides, it is about the emotional and psychological shift that occurs when Jimmy begins to feel seen, heard, and valued. Freeman's character represents the possibility of transformation, not just for Jimmy, but for the broader community of veterans who face similar struggles. His intervention serves as a reminder that change is possible, that even in a world that often overlooks and mistreats veterans, there are people who are willing to stand up for them and fight for their rights. Ultimately, the intervention of Morgan Freeman's character is a pivotal moment in the script, one that shifts the narrative from a story of hardship and discrimination to a story of hope, change, and redemption. Through his kindness and advocacy, Freeman's character helps Jimmy rediscover his sense of dignity and worth, providing him with the emotional support he needs to face the challenges ahead. This intervention is not just a turning point for Jimmy, it is a symbol of the power of empathy, solidarity, and the potential for positive change in the lives of those who have been marginalized and overlooked. Freeman's role in the story emphasizes the importance of community and support, and the impact that one individual can have in changing the lives of others. His character is a reminder that, even in a world that often seems indifferent, there are still people who care, who are willing to stand up for what is right, and who are dedicated to making the world a better place for those who have served their country. The unexpected letter from Morgan Freeman, containing a substantial check for $80,000, is a pivotal moment in Jimmy Carter's journey, both emotionally and financially. This gesture serves as a profound turning point, not just for Jimmy and his wife Lucille, but also for the overarching themes of the script: dignity, compassion, and the power of unexpected kindness. The letter signifies more than just financial assistance. It represents a lifeline, a beacon of hope, and an affirmation of Jimmy's worth and his sacrifices. This unexpected gift shifts the narrative from one of struggle and hardship to one of renewed possibility and empowerment. When Jimmy receives the letter from Morgan Freeman, the sheer size of the financial gift is overwhelming. The letter, though brief, is packed with meaning and intention. Morgan Freeman's character, who had already shown kindness and empathy by helping Jimmy with groceries and offering him a ride home, now extends his support in a more significant and tangible way. The check for $80,000 is not just a random sum of money. It is a direct response to the struggles that Jimmy has faced, a recognition of his years of service as a veteran, and a commitment to ensuring that Jimmy and Lucille have the financial resources they need to move forward in life. The financial gesture is a reflection of the growing relationship between Jimmy and Morgan Freeman's character. The bond that they share is rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and a shared sense of injustice at the way veterans are often treated. Freeman's character, who is an advocate for veterans' rights, sees the systemic neglect and the emotional toll that Jimmy's life has taken. By providing such a substantial sum, Freeman is not just offering financial relief, he is affirming Jimmy's dignity, acknowledging the sacrifices he has made, and showing that there are people in the world who care about his well-being. This moment is especially significant for Jimmy because it marks a shift in his sense of self-worth. Throughout the script, Jimmy has struggled with feelings of inadequacy and a lack of recognition. He has been a caregiver to his wife, Lucille, who has multiple sclerosis, and he has faced the emotional toll of being constantly overlooked by others. The rejection he experienced at the store, where he was denied the veteran discount, compounded these feelings of isolation and frustration. However, the letter from Morgan Freeman is a direct counter to these experiences of neglect. It represents an affirmation of Jimmy's value, not just as a veteran but as a human being deserving of care, support, and respect. The financial gift also provides Jimmy with the resources he needs to improve his and Lucille's quality of life. The $80,000 check is a lifeline that can help cover medical expenses, make necessary home modifications for Lucille's care, and provide the couple with some financial security. For Jimmy, who has been struggling to make ends meet while caring for his wife, this financial support is a game changer. It allows him to breathe easier, knowing that some of the immediate financial pressures have been alleviated. It also gives him the freedom to focus on what truly matters: his relationship with Lucille, his personal healing, and his future. However, the impact of the letter extends beyond the financial aspect. The letter is a powerful symbol of the bond between Jimmy and Freeman's character, and it underscores the theme of unexpected kindness that runs throughout the script. Jimmy, who has faced so much adversity and rejection, now finds himself on the receiving end of an act of profound generosity. This moment represents the power of empathy and the importance of showing up for others, even in ways that might seem small but have a lasting impact. The letter is not just a financial gift, it is a message of solidarity, a recognition of the emotional toll that Jimmy has faced, and a commitment to making a positive difference in his life. Moreover, the letter from Morgan Freeman also signifies a shift in Jimmy's perspective. At the beginning of the script, Jimmy is isolated and burdened by the weight of his responsibilities. He feels disconnected from the world around him, particularly after his confrontation with the store manager, Dale Johnson, and the subsequent rejection he faces. However, the arrival of the letter brings a sense of hope and renewal. Jimmy begins to realize that there are people in the world who see him, who value him, and who are willing to stand by him. This realization is crucial for Jimmy's emotional healing. It marks the beginning of a shift from despair to possibility, from a life defined by struggle to one defined by the potential for change and growth. The $80,000 check also has a broader significance within the context of the script's themes of dignity and respect for veterans. Throughout the narrative, Jimmy has been treated unfairly and marginalized, both by society and by the institutions that are supposed to support veterans. The letter from Morgan Freeman is a direct challenge to these injustices. It represents a rejection of the systemic neglect that veterans often face and an affirmation of their worth. In providing Jimmy with such a substantial gift, Freeman's character is not only helping him on a personal level but is also making a statement about the importance of supporting veterans and ensuring that their needs are met. This act of kindness challenges the narrative of neglect and marginalization, offering a powerful counterpoint to the struggles that Jimmy has faced. For Jimmy, the letter is a moment of transformation. It represents the culmination of the emotional and psychological journey he has been on throughout the script. At the beginning, he was overwhelmed by his responsibilities and the challenges he faced, but the letter from Morgan Freeman gives him the tools to move forward. It offers him the opportunity to step into a new chapter of his life, one in which he is not defined by his struggles but by his resilience and his capacity to receive support and care. The arrival of the letter also has a profound effect on Jimmy's relationship with Lucille. The financial relief that it provides allows them to plan for the future with a sense of hope and possibility. For Lucille, who has been living with the debilitating effects of multiple sclerosis, the letter represents a chance for a better quality of life. The financial gift provides them with the resources to improve their living conditions and to access the care that Lucille needs. This change in their circumstances brings a renewed sense of optimism and a deeper sense of connection between the couple. In the end, the letter from Morgan Freeman serves as a powerful symbol of the transformative power of kindness, empathy, and community. It is a moment of grace in a world that often feels indifferent to the struggles of individuals like Jimmy. Through this gesture, Freeman's character offers not just financial support but a reminder that there is still goodness in the world, that there are people who care, and that change is possible. This moment of generosity marks a new beginning for Jimmy and Lucille, one in which they can face the future with hope and a renewed sense of dignity. It is a testament to the power of unexpected kindness and the lasting impact it can have on the lives of those who receive it. The final moment of peace and possibility for Jimmy and Lucille represents the culmination of their journey, a shift from a life marked by hardship, isolation, and struggle to one defined by renewed hope, dignity, and the promise of a better future. This moment is crucial not only for Jimmy and Lucille's emotional and psychological healing but also for the broader themes of the script: the value of personal relationships, the impact of unexpected kindness, and the importance of maintaining one's dignity in the face of adversity. As the story reaches its conclusion, Jimmy and Lucille find themselves at a crossroads. Throughout the script, they have faced a series of emotional and financial challenges. Jimmy has been a caregiver for his wife, who has multiple sclerosis, and has navigated the difficulties of being a veteran in a society that often neglects its heroes. His sense of self-worth has been deeply affected by the lack of recognition and respect he has received, particularly from institutions and individuals who should have supported him. Lucille, on the other hand, has struggled with the physical and emotional toll of her illness, feeling increasingly dependent on Jimmy while also grappling with her own sense of loss and frustration. Together, they have been a team, but their journey has been fraught with uncertainty. However, with the unexpected letter from Morgan Freeman and the substantial financial gift that comes with it, their lives begin to change. The $80,000 check is more than just a financial windfall. It represents a moment of transformation. For Jimmy, it marks the end of a period of intense emotional strain and the beginning of a new chapter, one in which he can begin to reclaim his sense of dignity and agency. This financial assistance allows him to take a step back from the constant pressure of worrying about money and caregiving. For Lucille, the financial relief offers the chance for a better quality of life, providing them with the means to address her medical needs, make necessary adjustments to their living situation, and invest in her long-term care. Together, they can begin to imagine a future that is no longer defined by scarcity and struggle but by possibility and hope. This moment of peace and hope is not just about financial security. It is about the emotional and psychological healing that comes from knowing that you are not alone, that there are people who care, and that there are opportunities for growth and renewal. For Jimmy, the letter from Morgan Freeman serves as a powerful reminder that there are still acts of kindness and solidarity in the world, even when life feels overwhelmingly difficult. The generosity he receives is not just about alleviating his immediate financial burdens. It is about restoring his sense of self-worth and reminding him that he deserves to be treated with respect and care. The significance of this moment extends beyond Jimmy and Lucille's personal circumstances. The gift represents a broader shift in the script's themes, particularly the idea that dignity is not something that should be earned through hardship or sacrifice alone. It is something that should be inherent in every individual, regardless of their social status, background, or circumstances. The story highlights the importance of affirming one's dignity and humanity, especially for those who have been marginalized or overlooked by society. Through Morgan Freeman's character, the script suggests that even small acts of kindness can have a profound and lasting impact on someone's life, and that these acts can restore a sense of dignity that might have been lost along the way. For Jimmy and Lucille, the renewed sense of dignity they experience is intertwined with the hope for a better future. They no longer feel trapped by the weight of their circumstances. Instead, they can begin to imagine a life where they have the resources, support, and emotional space to move forward. This moment of peace marks the beginning of their healing journey, a journey in which they can rebuild their lives, strengthen their bond, and focus on their future together. It is a moment of clarity, where the pain of the past is acknowledged, but the possibility of a brighter tomorrow takes center stage. The emotional impact of this moment is especially significant because it comes after a period of deep emotional and psychological turmoil. Jimmy has spent much of the script grappling with feelings of inadequacy, frustration, and isolation. His encounter with the store manager, Dale Johnson, who denies him the veteran discount, represents a symbolic moment of rejection and neglect, reinforcing the emotional toll that Jimmy has experienced. Similarly, his role as a caregiver for Lucille, while deeply meaningful, has been exhausting and has contributed to his sense of emotional depletion. Throughout this time, Jimmy has questioned his place in the world and his worth as an individual. The arrival of the letter from Morgan Freeman is a turning point that shifts his perspective, allowing him to see that he is deserving of kindness, care, and respect. For Lucille, the sense of hope is equally profound. Throughout the script, she has been a silent but powerful presence in Jimmy's life. Her illness has left her physically vulnerable, but her emotional strength has been a steady force that has kept them both grounded. The financial relief that comes with the letter from Morgan Freeman gives Lucille the chance to feel more secure in her own future. It provides her with the opportunity to focus on her own healing and well-being, without the constant worry of financial instability. The support they receive also strengthens their bond as a couple, reinforcing the idea that, despite the challenges they face, they can rely on each other and on the kindness of others to move forward. The theme of dignity is central to this final moment, as it underscores the importance of maintaining one's sense of self-worth even in the face of adversity. Throughout the script, Jimmy has struggled with his role as a caregiver and his status as a veteran. He has felt overlooked, undervalued, and disconnected from the world around him. The letter from Morgan Freeman, along with the kindness he has received from others, helps restore his belief in his own value. This moment is a reminder that dignity is not something that should be given or taken away based on one's circumstances. It is an inherent right that should be respected and upheld by all. As Jimmy and Lucille reflect on the unexpected twists of fate that have brought them to this point, they realize that the future is no longer defined by the limitations of their past. They are no longer trapped in a cycle of struggle and survival. Instead, they are empowered to shape their own future, knowing that they have the resources, support, and love they need to create a better life together. This final moment of peace and possibility represents the emotional culmination of their journey, a journey that has been marked by hardship but is now filled with the promise of hope, dignity, and renewal. In conclusion, this moment of peace and possibility for Jimmy and Lucille is not just a resolution to their financial struggles. It is a profound emotional turning point that marks the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. It is a reminder that, even in the face of adversity, there is always the potential for growth, healing, and renewal. Through the generosity of others, the couple finds the strength to move forward with hope and dignity, ready to embrace the future with renewed purpose and love. One of the most transformative elements in Jimmy and Lucille's story is the unexpected act of kindness extended to them by Morgan Freeman. This gesture not only changes the course of their lives but also serves as a pivotal moment in the script, underscoring the theme of solidarity and the power of unexpected help. In a world that often seems indifferent to the struggles of individuals like Jimmy, veterans who have served their country and caregivers who devote their lives to their loved ones, the arrival of Morgan Freeman's character offers a stark contrast. His intervention highlights the importance of human connection, compassion, and the profound effect that even a single act of kindness can have on someone's life. At the core of this moment is the concept of solidarity, when people come together, not out of obligation, but out of a shared sense of humanity. Morgan Freeman's character is not bound by any formal connection to Jimmy. They do not share a personal history or a deep friendship. However, Freeman's willingness to help Jimmy in a time of dire need speaks volumes about the potential for kindness and the power of standing up for others, especially those who have been marginalized or overlooked. This moment is an illustration of the idea that sometimes the right help comes from unexpected sources, and the true value of community and support is in the connections we make, no matter how brief or unexpected. Freeman's decision to help Jimmy is not driven by any expectation of reward or recognition. It is a simple, selfless act that stems from his belief in the importance of supporting others, especially those who have been neglected by society. This decision is an embodiment of the script's central message, that acts of kindness and empathy are not just moral imperatives, but they can also be life-changing. For Jimmy, the help he receives represents more than just the immediate relief of his financial burden. It serves as a reminder that there are people in the world who see his struggles and are willing to stand with him, even when the systems around him have failed. This act of kindness also offers Jimmy a crucial opportunity to reflect on the broader themes of dignity and worth. For much of the script, Jimmy has been grappling with a deep sense of rejection. He has faced discrimination, particularly from the store manager, Dale Johnson, who denies him a veteran discount, a moment that further erodes Jimmy's sense of dignity. Jimmy's experiences in the world have led him to question his place in society and whether he is truly deserving of the same respect and care that others receive. Morgan Freeman's intervention directly challenges this narrative, offering Jimmy a different perspective, that he is worthy of kindness, care, and support. This shift in perspective is profound, as it helps Jimmy regain his sense of self-worth, which had been deeply damaged by the ongoing struggles he faced. Furthermore, Freeman's gesture highlights the importance of community. While Jimmy and Lucille's relationship is built on love and mutual support, the script also emphasizes that caregiving can be isolating. Jimmy's role as a caregiver for Lucille has made him feel alone, as he is the sole person responsible for her care. The constant demands of caregiving, coupled with the challenges of navigating a world that often overlooks the needs of veterans and caregivers, have taken an emotional toll on him. The intervention of Morgan Freeman serves as a reminder that community is not just about immediate family or close friends. It extends to the broader world, where people can come together to help one another, even if they are strangers. This sense of solidarity is vital, as it offers Jimmy the emotional sustenance he has been lacking and helps him recognize that he is not as isolated as he once believed. This moment of kindness also sets in motion a ripple effect. After Freeman's help, the store where Jimmy was previously denied the veteran discount makes significant changes, reflecting the positive impact of his advocacy. The store's decision to offer Jimmy the discount and to revise its policies signals a broader shift in how veterans and marginalized individuals are treated by institutions. This shift represents a victory not only for Jimmy but for all veterans and caregivers who have been overlooked and discriminated against by the systems that are supposed to support them. It demonstrates that one person's actions can spark a larger movement for change, creating a domino effect that ripples out to benefit others. The power of unexpected kindness also ties into the theme of justice and fairness. Jimmy, as a veteran, has sacrificed much for his country, yet he faces discrimination and is denied the basic respect that he deserves. The refusal of the store manager to offer him the veteran discount is a microcosm of the larger societal neglect of veterans and their needs. However, Freeman's intervention serves as a form of justice, one that is not bound by the rules of bureaucracy or institutional systems, but by the moral conviction that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. In this sense, Freeman's character becomes a symbol of the justice that is often lacking in the formal systems Jimmy interacts with. This act of kindness also brings a sense of relief to Lucille. As a caregiver, she has been a silent observer of Jimmy's struggles, feeling powerless to help him. Freeman's intervention allows her to see that there is hope, not just for Jimmy but for their relationship and future together. The financial relief and emotional support they receive provide Lucille with the opportunity to focus on her own healing and well-being, without the constant worry of Jimmy's emotional and physical strain. The kindness they receive offers them both a chance to reclaim their lives and move forward with a renewed sense of possibility. Moreover, Freeman's role in the script adds an important layer to the theme of human connection. His character does not simply provide financial assistance or material goods. He provides something far more valuable, a reminder that human beings have the capacity for deep empathy and compassion, and that we are all connected by our shared humanity. The script shows that, even in the face of overwhelming adversity, there are people who will go out of their way to make a difference in the lives of others. This is a powerful message, one that reinforces the idea that kindness and solidarity are not just optional, they are essential to creating a more just and compassionate world. In conclusion, the unexpected act of kindness by Morgan Freeman's character is a turning point in Jimmy and Lucille's story. It represents the power of solidarity, the impact of human connection, and the importance of empathy in times of struggle. Freeman's gesture not only provides immediate relief for Jimmy and Lucille, but also restores their sense of dignity, self-worth, and hope for the future. It serves as a reminder that, no matter how isolated or overlooked we may feel, there is always the potential for kindness and support from unexpected sources, and that these acts of kindness can have a profound and lasting impact on our lives. The culmination of Jimmy and Lucille's journey represents a profound shift in their lives, driven by the transformative power of hope and the renewal of their dignity. Through the unexpected acts of kindness they receive, both from Morgan Freeman's character and from the broader community, they begin to rediscover their sense of self-worth. For much of the narrative, both Jimmy and Lucille have been navigating a life filled with hardship and adversity, from the discrimination Jimmy faces as a veteran to the emotional and physical toll of caregiving. The struggles they face seem insurmountable at times, and yet, as the story unfolds, they are presented with opportunities that allow them to see beyond their immediate circumstances and envision a brighter future. At the heart of this transformation is the concept of hope, an intangible force that can change the course of lives. For Jimmy, hope has been in short supply for years. The harsh realities of his life as a caregiver, combined with the lack of recognition and support for his service as a veteran, have left him feeling invisible and unappreciated. The initial rejection he faces at the store, where he is denied the veteran discount, is symbolic of the broader societal indifference to the struggles of veterans and caregivers. Jimmy's sense of self-worth is deeply affected by this encounter, as he internalizes the message that he is not valued. However, the unexpected kindness from Morgan Freeman's character acts as a beacon of hope, showing Jimmy that he is not alone in his struggles, and that there are people who are willing to help him regain his dignity. Freeman's gesture, offering Jimmy groceries, a ride home, and later advocating for veterans' rights, instantly changes the dynamic for Jimmy and Lucille. It serves as a reminder that, even in a world that can sometimes seem indifferent or even hostile, there are still individuals who are willing to stand up for what is right. The act of kindness not only alleviates some of the immediate financial pressures on Jimmy, but also sparks a deeper emotional transformation. For the first time in a long while, Jimmy begins to feel seen and valued, and this renewed sense of dignity is pivotal in shifting his outlook on life. It is no longer just about survival. It is about reclaiming a sense of self-worth and moving forward with hope. Hope, in this context, is not just about the belief that things will improve, but also about the ability to see the possibility of change. For Jimmy, this hope begins to manifest in practical ways. The store's decision to revise its policies, offering him the veteran discount, and the positive changes that follow as a result of Freeman's intervention. These events symbolize the power of collective action and the impact of standing up for what is right. They also reinforce the idea that even small, individual actions can have a ripple effect, creating broader systemic change. Jimmy's situation begins to improve, not because of a dramatic overhaul of his circumstances, but because of the accumulation of small acts of kindness and advocacy that restore his faith in humanity. The renewed dignity that Jimmy experiences is also deeply tied to his relationship with Lucille. Throughout the script, Lucille has been a silent partner in Jimmy's struggles. She, too, has been grappling with the weight of their circumstances, her own illness, the burden of caregiving, and the financial and emotional toll it has taken on both of them. While she has always supported Jimmy, she has been unable to provide the external help that he so desperately needs. However, as Jimmy begins to regain his sense of dignity and hope, Lucille also starts to experience a shift in her own emotional state. The financial relief and the emotional support they receive from Freeman's character provide her with a sense of security and comfort that she has not felt in a long time. This newfound stability allows Lucille to focus more on her own well-being, both physically and emotionally. The power of hope, in this sense, extends beyond just Jimmy. It has a transformative effect on both of their lives. This theme of renewed dignity also ties into the broader concept of justice. Jimmy, as a veteran, has sacrificed much for his country, and yet, for years, he has been overlooked and dismissed by society. The mistreatment he faces in the store is a reflection of the larger societal disregard for veterans and their needs. However, the change in the store's policies and the support he receives from Morgan Freeman's character signify a form of justice being restored. This justice is not necessarily a formal legal remedy, but rather a moral one, an acknowledgement that Jimmy, as a veteran and as a human being, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. The transformation of Jimmy's circumstances is a direct result of this restored sense of justice, which not only improves his quality of life but also reinforces his belief that he is deserving of respect and care. The power of hope and dignity also extends to the broader theme of community. Throughout the script, Jimmy has been isolated in many ways. His role as a caregiver has often made him feel alone, and his experiences of discrimination have compounded his sense of alienation. However, through the acts of kindness and advocacy that he receives, Jimmy begins to realize that he is not alone. There is a community of people, whether they are veterans, caregivers, or ordinary citizens, who are willing to stand up for one another and support each other. This realization helps Jimmy move beyond the isolation he has felt and embrace a more hopeful future, one in which he is no longer an invisible figure but a valued member of a larger, compassionate community. For Lucille, the power of hope and dignity also translates into a sense of possibility for the future. She has long struggled with the knowledge that her illness is progressive, and the future seems uncertain. However, with the newfound stability that comes from Jimmy's renewed dignity and the support they receive, Lucille begins to feel that there is hope for them both. The financial relief they receive from Morgan Freeman's character and the changes in their lives offer Lucille a glimpse of a future where she can focus more on her health and well-being, and where she and Jimmy can live without the constant weight of financial insecurity and emotional strain. This hope, while not a cure for her illness, is a lifeline that helps her endure and continue fighting for a better life. In conclusion, the transformative power of hope and renewed dignity is a central theme in Jimmy and Lucille's story. Through the kindness and support they receive from unexpected sources, they begin to reclaim their sense of self-worth and envision a brighter future. This transformation is not just about immediate relief, but about a deeper emotional shift that empowers them to face their challenges with renewed strength and resilience. The power of hope and dignity ultimately serves as a reminder that, even in the face of overwhelming adversity, there is always the possibility for change and a better tomorrow. The script of Jimmy and Lucille's story touches upon the broader societal issues surrounding veterans and caregivers, emphasizing their often overlooked struggles and the enduring impact these roles have on individuals and families. By focusing on the challenges Jimmy faces as a veteran and as a caregiver to his wife Lucille, the narrative underscores the complexities and emotional tolls that these roles can take. Veterans, in particular, often face systemic neglect, not just in terms of healthcare and financial support but also in the way society acknowledges their sacrifices. Similarly, caregivers, especially those in domestic settings, often find themselves isolated and without sufficient support, despite the significant responsibilities they carry. The script serves as a poignant commentary on the importance of addressing these issues in a meaningful way and highlights the urgent need for societal change. For veterans like Jimmy, the issues surrounding recognition and support are multifaceted. While the nation celebrates the bravery and sacrifices of veterans in speeches and public ceremonies, the reality is that many veterans are left to face the consequences of their service in isolation. Jimmy's initial experience with discrimination at the store, where he is denied a veteran discount, is a microcosm of the broader disregard veterans often encounter in their daily lives. Despite having served his country, Jimmy finds himself marginalized and dismissed. This treatment speaks to a larger issue of societal neglect. Veterans are frequently celebrated in rhetoric but are often overlooked when it comes to tangible support, such as healthcare, financial aid, and mental health services. This disconnect between societal praise and the reality of veterans' lives is a critical point in the script. The story brings to light the struggles that many veterans face when they return to civilian life, including difficulty accessing proper healthcare, the challenges of reintegrating into society, and the emotional scars that are often left unaddressed. For Jimmy, this manifests in the financial and emotional toll of his caregiving role, as well as the lack of support from both his family and the broader community. The fact that Jimmy is initially denied the veteran discount, something as simple as a small acknowledgement of his service, exemplifies the systemic issues that veterans face in terms of recognition and respect. The story also brings attention to the role of caregivers, particularly those who care for family members with chronic illnesses or disabilities. Lucille's multiple sclerosis, which requires constant care, places an immense burden on Jimmy. Caregiving, as depicted in the script, is not only physically demanding but emotionally draining as well. The emotional toll on caregivers often goes unnoticed, and their sacrifices are frequently underappreciated. Jimmy, in his role as Lucille's caregiver, is tasked with providing for her needs, but his own emotional and physical well-being is often sidelined. This is a common experience for caregivers, who often prioritize the needs of their loved ones over their own, resulting in burnout, isolation, and, in many cases, neglect of their own mental health. Through Jimmy's experiences, the script emphasizes the importance of supporting caregivers, not just with financial aid but also with emotional and social support. The loneliness and isolation that caregivers often feel are highlighted in Jimmy's interactions with others. His initial frustration at the store is not just about the financial loss but also about the sense of being invisible and undervalued. This sense of invisibility is compounded by the fact that many caregivers, like Jimmy, are so entrenched in their roles that they have little time or energy to seek help or advocate for themselves. This can lead to a vicious cycle of neglect, where caregivers are so focused on caring for others that they fail to take care of their own needs. The story's treatment of these issues serves as a call to action, urging society to rethink its approach to veterans and caregivers. It highlights the need for policies that not only provide financial and healthcare support but also acknowledge the emotional and psychological tolls these roles can take. The narrative encourages the audience to consider how society can better support veterans, not just in the immediate aftermath of their service but throughout their lives. It also challenges the audience to think about the importance of caregiving and the ways in which caregivers can be better supported, both practically and emotionally. In Jimmy's case, the unexpected kindness and support he receives from Morgan Freeman's character provide a model for how society can respond to the needs of veterans and caregivers. Freeman's character's actions, including advocating for veterans' rights and providing Jimmy with groceries and a ride, offer a glimpse into the kind of compassionate community support that can make a real difference. This type of support is not just about providing financial assistance but also about recognizing the humanity of veterans and caregivers and offering them the dignity and respect they deserve. Moreover, the story of Jimmy and Lucille also emphasizes the importance of collective action. The changes at the store, which ultimately result from Freeman's intervention, highlight how individuals can come together to create change. While one person may not be able to solve all the problems facing veterans and caregivers, collective action can lead to meaningful improvements. The script calls for a broader societal recognition of the sacrifices made by veterans and caregivers, urging the audience to reflect on their role in creating a more compassionate and supportive society. Ultimately, the script's portrayal of Jimmy and Lucille's journey highlights the enduring legacy of veterans and caregivers and the importance of recognizing and supporting them. The story serves as a reminder that the challenges faced by these individuals are not just personal struggles but societal issues that require collective attention and action. By shining a light on these issues, the script calls for a more compassionate, supportive society that values the sacrifices of veterans and caregivers and works to ensure that they are given the resources, recognition, and respect they deserve. The script's narrative unfolds as a journey not just for Jimmy and Lucille, but for the broader message of how transformative compassion and unexpected acts of kindness can be in the lives of those who are struggling. Jimmy's life, filled with hardship as a veteran and caregiver, seems unremarkable at first glance, but through his interaction with Morgan Freeman's character, the script illustrates the profound impact that even small gestures of kindness can have on a person's sense of self-worth, dignity, and hope for the future. Freeman's character represents a pivotal turning point in the story, where an unexpected act of kindness not only changes Jimmy's immediate circumstances, but also inspires a larger shift in the way the audience perceives the value of human connection and empathy in times of hardship. One of the central themes in the script is the power of compassion to bridge gaps between individuals, communities, and societal systems. When Jimmy is confronted with the store manager's refusal to offer him a veteran discount, he experiences frustration and indignity, reflecting the broader societal failure to recognize and support veterans. At this moment, Jimmy's life feels devoid of compassion from the world around him. However, Morgan Freeman's character steps into the story, embodying the essence of compassion. Freeman offers Jimmy not just a ride home or groceries, but a sense of acknowledgement that transcends transactional support. This gesture shows that kindness doesn't have to be grandiose or complicated. It can be simple and still profoundly transformative. This shift from frustration and neglect to the experience of being seen and valued is a pivotal moment in the script. The small but meaningful gesture of compassion changes Jimmy's perception of the world and gives him renewed hope. The emotional impact of Freeman's actions on Jimmy is immense. For someone who has spent much of his life feeling unseen, both as a veteran and as a caregiver, this simple act of kindness offers validation and reaffirms his dignity. The sense of connection Jimmy feels in that moment begins to reshape his understanding of the world around him. Rather than feeling like an isolated individual struggling to make ends meet, Jimmy feels recognized as a human being worthy of care and respect. Moreover, the script highlights how this single act of kindness ripples outward, inspiring change not just in Jimmy's life but in the broader social context. Freeman's character's advocacy for veterans' rights leads to a larger shift in how the store and, by extension, the community views and treats veterans. This transformation is not merely about policy changes or financial compensation, it's about the cultural shift that happens when people start to care for one another. It's about fostering a society where people, regardless of their status or background, feel a sense of belonging and care. The story also delves into the idea that acts of kindness don't just benefit the recipient, they have a profound effect on the giver as well. Morgan Freeman's character is not portrayed as someone seeking recognition or a return on his actions. His willingness to help Jimmy stems from an inherent sense of empathy and compassion, and through his actions, he finds fulfillment in knowing he has made a difference in someone's life. This suggests that compassion is not a one-way street, it has the potential to transform both the giver and the receiver. Freeman's character embodies the idea that kindness can create a cycle of positivity that extends beyond the immediate moment, leading to lasting change in people's lives. The script further emphasizes the importance of empathy in relationships, particularly when dealing with complex issues such as caregiving and veteran status. It shows that even in situations where people may feel overwhelmed by their responsibilities, like Jimmy with his caregiving role for Lucille, there is room for compassion to enter. By offering support and empathy to others, individuals can help alleviate some of the burdens others carry, whether it's emotional, physical, or financial. The emotional weight that Jimmy carries throughout the story is lightened by the compassion shown to him by Freeman's character, offering a powerful reminder that sometimes, the most transformative moments in life come from the kindness of others. In addition, the theme of kindness in the script encourages the audience to reflect on how they can be more compassionate in their own lives. In a world that often feels divided and transactional, the story serves as a gentle nudge to recognize the value of empathy and the positive impact it can have on those around us. The characters' actions, whether they are offering help, support, or simply listening, illustrate that small gestures can have profound, life-altering consequences. This creates a call to action for the audience to think about the ways in which they can show kindness to those in need, especially to individuals who may be facing invisible struggles, like veterans and caregivers. Finally, the script suggests that compassion is a form of resistance to the societal forces that perpetuate inequality and marginalization. In a world where individuals like Jimmy are often ignored or overlooked, acts of kindness serve as a form of resistance to the forces that seek to render them invisible. Freeman's character's intervention not only restores Jimmy's sense of dignity but also acts as a challenge to the systemic injustices that perpetuate neglect and isolation. Through compassion, the story proposes, we can all contribute to a more just and equitable society where individuals are valued and supported, regardless of their background or circumstances. Ultimately, The transformative power of compassion is the heart of Jimmy and Lucille's story. The unexpected kindness they receive doesn't just change their lives in a tangible way, it shifts their perspective on the world, offering them hope and a renewed sense of possibility. It's a powerful reminder that, even in the darkest moments, compassion has the potential to light the way forward. Through this lens, the story encourages us all to embrace the power of kindness and empathy, knowing that even the smallest acts of compassion can lead to profound change.